Hey, John, I just want to chime in and give you a thank you and a plug, because the part about coaching, I know that I worked hard and I put the effort in to the things that you've been teaching now for 2 years or longer now. And I see it working. I see business growing. I think March is a year that I started coaching with you.
On that note, coaching, I need a coach. I don't just need a coach. I need a great coach.
There's coaches on this call. I'm not the only one. And I'll tell you somebody you might want to reach out to. Welcome to Survive to Thrive. We're going to do some work today. I'm going to go right to the whiteboard. All right, I want you to take a sheet of paper and I want you to write the word grow down the left-hand side of the sheet of paper. Yes, we've done this exercise before, and yes, we're going to do it again. This is an exercise that you should do at least once a quarter, and I would recommend that you do it every month. So the G at the top of the page stands for, what were your goals at the beginning of the year? If, for example, you set a goal to close 24 sales, takes 12 seller listings, and earn 200,000 in GCI, then those were the goals that you set at the beginning of the year. Now, the R is your current reality, and we're looking at where are you through the end of February? How many sales did you close through the end of February? For the purpose of the exercise, I wrote down 3. How many listings did you take? In the exercise, again, it's 2 seller listings and 20,000 GCI. That's the current reality. Now, if you ever hear me ask you, what's track? Just so you know, you and I are talking the same language here. Whenever I ask you what's track, Karen, I'm simply asking you, based on where you are today, where are you going to end the year? Now, you can figure this out any time of the year. At the end of February, all we're going to do is take the results, multiply it by 6, and that's going to tell us what track is for the end of the year. So we're tracking 18 sales closed. Our goal is 24. There's a gap of 6. We're tracking 12 seller listings. We've taken 2 seller listings, We're tracking 12, so we're on track. We're on track to hit our goal. That's a good thing. We've earned 20,000 GCI through the end of February. We'll multiply that by 6. That's 120,000. We've got an $80,000 gap. Now, word of warning and bunny trail. This is going to create a gap mindset. So from the book, The Gap and the Gain, you know that the goal is to have a gain mindset, not a gap mindset. When you have a gap mindset, Bob, you're looking at where you are today in reference to where you want to be. If you're not tracking where you want to be, then your mindset is going to be negative. Now, the way to fix that is to focus on the gain. I mean, most of us don't do this. And the only way you can focus on the gain is by looking backwards, not forwards. And it's where am I today based on where did I start? Now, when you focus on the gain, it's always going to create more positive energy. Really, really important. All right, back on track. The O are the obstacles. What's standing between where you are and where you want to be? Overpriced listings. You have listings that are just sitting, they're not selling. You've got unmotivated buyers, you've got unmotivated sellers. The next step is we want to create a plan in order to remove these obstacles. The W stands for way forward. We can learn how to have strategic pricing conversations in order to take listings at the right price so they'll sell and not sit. Learn the strategic pricing process. It starts with supply and demand. And from supply and demand, we have to understand that if there's 12 homes for sale, for example, and 3 are selling every 30 days, we have a 4-month supply of inventory. However, in order to sell your home, you've got to be one of the 3 that are going to sell. You have to beat the competition. Now, the only way to beat the competition is condition and price. You got to be top 25% in condition, bottom 25% in price. And you got to be able to have these conversations. It's also understanding that you have 3 jobs. You make an observation. This is what I see. You make a forecast. Based on what I see, this is what's happening. In other words, based on what I see, Margaret, we have more inventory. Inventory is increasing. Over the last 6 months, we've gone from 3 months of inventory to 5 months of inventory. Fewer deals are being done. We're moving more and more into a buyer's market. And when that happens, sellers are competing for buyers. And the only way a seller is going to win that competition is by lowering their price. These are strategic pricing conversations. All right. So it's an observation, it's a forecast, and then it's the art of persuasion. It's being able to have conversations with people in order to help them make a new decision based on new information. In my huddle this morning, I was talking to the agents that I meet with every morning at 8 a.m. And one of them was sharing that she had a listing that comped out at $605,000. Based on the comps, it's worth 605. And I hear this all the time. Real estate agents say, I took a listing, it's priced right. My first question is, how do you know? Tell me why it's priced right. But in doing her research on strategic pricing, the right price to get this property sold was 585, not 605. Now, she spent an extra hour at the table talking about this in order to get it at 585, which she did. And because she did, she's going to get this property sold versus having it sit on the market and not selling. Needs analysis, super important in order to have motivated buyers and sellers. In order to determine, Karen, if I'm talking to a motivated buyer and seller, understand the needs analysis process on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not so good, 10 being awesome. What needs to happen in order for you to sell your home? Pay really close attention to the answers. If you get somebody whose number one goal is price, the number one goal is price. I have to get my price. And they're not going to sell it for less unless they get their price, they're not selling. Then you've probably got an unmotivated seller. Might be a listing that you don't want to take. Remember, part of the listing presentation, Karen, is whenever I meet with a potential seller, one of three things typically happens. One of those things will happen today. Either they understand and appreciate the benefits I have to offer, and that's awesome, and they hire me, or they don't hire me, and that's not so awesome, or I may choose not to take the listing. Now, the reason I would choose not to take the listing is if I feel a seller has a goal or an expectation that can't be met. I would rather turn the opportunity down today than let you down 6 months from now. Does that make sense? Okay, now fast forward to the needs analysis. You've got that seller who's telling you, I'm not going to sell unless I get my price. Now, the other part of this is if they have a compelling reason to sell, I might still have a motivated seller. They might sound like they're not motivated right now, but they may become motivated. For example, Margaret, you're sitting down with somebody who's selling their home and they've purchased new construction. Now, the new construction home isn't going to be ready to be moved into until, let's say, October. They've got their feet dug in the sand right now. I'm not going to take less than $750. If I can't get $750, I'm not selling my home. I promise you, as you get closer and closer to that October date, they're going to get motivated. They're going to sound different. So if I have somebody that's going to become motivated, I might still want to take that listing. The other way forward is to double down on your standards. If your daily standard is 5 conversations a day, 1 new lead, double it to 10 conversations, 2 new leads, 1 appointment booked. By the way, if you don't have daily standards, you might want to start there. Set daily standards for yourself. These are non-negotiable. So I'm going to go to the right side of the page because we'll go over to the left in just a moment, but I want to go back to the gap and the gain conversation. The grow exercise can create a gap and gain mindset. Now, here's how we fix that. I want you to start keeping on track of your pipeline the same way that you're looking at right now. I want you to write down the names of everybody that's in your pipeline. These are buyers and sellers. And I want you to write a dollar amount next to each of them. Put this on a whiteboard so it's sitting by your desk and you can look at it all the time. This is really, really important. Write down the estimated GCI that you will earn from each of those sales. I only put 5 names on here. You should have more than 5 names. However, just for the purpose of the exercise, I have 52,000 in potential sales or 52,000 in potential GCI. So let's say I go back to my current reality. I've earned $20,000 so far. I'm tracking 120. My goal is 200. I feel like crap. I'm in the gap. How do I get out of that? I look at my pipeline and say, okay, I may be in the gap, I may be $80,000 off track, but I've got $52,000 sitting in my pipeline. All I've got to do is get these deals closed in the next 2 to 3 months, and I'm back on track. This will change the way you look at things. It's super important that you have this in front of you and you're looking at it every day. Okay, let's talk E2P. The E2P model says that everybody starts here. That's entrepreneurially. They're doing what comes natural. All of us have a natural ceiling of achievement. Now, some have a higher ceiling of achievement than others, but we all have a ceiling of achievement, Matthew. We get to a point where we start hitting this ceiling. When you hit the ceiling and you hit it again and you hit it again, it leads to frustration. It leads to resignation. In other words, this is just as good as it gets. Maybe I'm not an agent who closes 36 sales a year. Maybe I'm an agent who only closes 18 sales a year. It's as good as it gets. The way to make this breakthrough is to go to P. P is purposeful. E can also stand for easy, what comes natural. P is purposeful. How can I become purposeful in my real estate business in order to create a breakthrough? Coaching is one solution. Master new skills. If you're not converting conversations to appointments, then you need to work on your scripts. You need to work on your conversion scripts. You need to work on overcoming objections in order to be able to schedule more appointments. Maybe it's better systems. There could be more here, by the way. It could be leverage. If you've reached a level here and your ceiling is you're closing 36 sales a year, you want to break through that ceiling and get to 60 sales a year, but you just don't have time. You're working all of the time. And you don't want to work more hours. You're already working 60 hours a week. So how can I get from 36 sales to 60 sales? Leverage. Purposeful would be find the right who. In the book, The One Thing, the question that Gary Keller asked is, what's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier and necessary for that agent who's doing 36 sales a year, but they want to get to 60, but they can't because they don't have the time. The one thing is to find the right who. It's to find the right person who's going to take over their 80% in order for them to be able to spend more time in their 20%. Your biggest challenge is you have a time issue. And the way to solve that time issue is by creating leverage that's going to take care of your 80% so you can spend more time on your 20%. All right, guys, talk to me. Questions, comments, thoughts. Let's go. All right, Joanne, talk to me.
Hey, John, I just want to chime in and give you a thank you and a plug because the part about coaching, I know that I worked hard and I put the effort in to the things that you've been teaching now for 2 years or longer now. And I got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm applying these skills and I see it. I see it working. I see business growing. I think March is a year that I started coaching with you. And these sales that I'm working on and the confidence that I have in my conversation is exponentially greater than it was just a year ago. And so when we talk today, it's about, these sellers that are overpriced and some of the skills that I know that I need to work on. In that strategic pricing conversation and turning a non-motivated buyer into a motivated buyer and being patient about that process. Because I feel like in this market, patience is key and knowing that, okay, they might not be motivated today. I know that at some point they will get there because they do have to sell. In their mind, they don't have to sell today, but just continuing to work on these skills. And then when you feel like you can, actually hiring the right coach.
That's right.
And to get you to that next level. And I didn't, early on in real estate, you think, well, I don't have the money. I get it. But at anything that you're going to succeed in life, having a coach is going to help you to get there. It's not just an expense. It's a business building practice in sports, in business, in real estate, wherever we are. So thank you.
100%. And Joanne, you reminded me of something that I didn't share. So when you look at the E2P model, you break through that ceiling, you're not done. There's more ceilings coming. You're going to go through this process multiple times in your real estate career. You're just going to get to the next ceiling. And then it's okay, what do I need to do to break through this ceiling? All right, let's go, Pamela.
First of all, I love come into this call every morning. Like someone said earlier, they didn't want to get up and get on the call. That was me this morning, but I made it and I'm here. And I just wanted to say that. And then also I feel like because of this that we just talked about, I'm on the right track because I have written down, make the damn calls and study the scripts and the objections before you had even said it.
That's right.
So I feel like I'm on the right page, like I'm on the same page as you.
There you
And
go.
then, I mean, everything that you said, I'm like, that's exactly where I am. It's just with the frustration. I haven't retired from it yet. I haven't quit. I haven't thrown my hands up. And I'm not going to.
There you go. That was.
But I have that mindset of
Wait for
is
that.
I will not let real estate defeat me.
Oh, that's it. No,
That's my mindset. So on that note, coaching, I need a coach. I don't just need a coach. I need a great coach.
there's coaches on this call. I'm not the only one. And I'll tell you somebody you might want to reach out to. Angie, are you here?
I am.
There we go. Angie Gerber. Angie, can you put your contact information in the chat?
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is perfect timing. A couple of weeks ago, I started a real estate business builder group for women that's free. And there's tons of resources, and your call is on there as well. So it's been phenomenal. I already have 60 women in. So anyone is welcome. I'll put it in the chat.
There you go.
Any woman.
Totally get it.
Awesome. Thanks, John. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. All right, Stephen, talk to me.
Yeah, what's up, guys? So I did I like to call it the dead agent script. I don't know if that's what it's called, but it kind of has a nice ring to it. Long story short, this lady she's 81, this agent. I called her on one, but she said, you know what? We had a good rapport. And I started talking about like her exit strategy. She gets me a appointment with another client of hers that's just not moving. And they're at 350. It's been 116 days on the market with no showings. We know what's going on. It's not rocket science. So I show them the data. The crazy thing is she was there watching it. So that was kind of hard. But it went really, really well. I'm at the point with this listing where the husband is digging his heels in. He doesn't want to come down to 325. She does. The wife does. So I'm struggling with this. I'm willing to do this one because I think she's going to get me more business. She's like, I want to see how you do on this one, and then I'll give you more, kind of thing. So I'm kind of confused on like how to get him on board, the husband.
Boy, we don't have enough time to talk about this.
Yeah.
Oh,
I bet. Yeah.
Gosh. All right. So I get it. The real estate agent is, I think you said 83, or sellers.
She's 81.
80.
Yeah. And she's willing to, and that's what I've been trying to, it's called The Golden Handoff. I don't know if everybody's seen that book, but I'm really trying to push into that because there's a huge gap I'm seeing. Like there's so many agents that are, in their 70s and 80s and don't have anybody to take over the business anyway. So I think it's worth it for me to try this.
It's really, really sad. It's really sad. One of my toughest challenges is agents that just can't stop selling real estate. So Bunny Trail, let me get back on track. Why are the sellers selling?
Yeah. So I found out that it's really the wife. So it's health. She doesn't like the stairs. And she also wants to be closer to her family.
How long have they owned the home?
2 years. They bought it new construction, 342.
Okay, so
that's where he's worried.
That's the challenge. I get it. They're gonna lose money on the sale of their property.
Yes.
He's not willing to lose money on the sale of the property. I totally get
that's
that.
it.
You might do a better job unless they're in financial hardship and have to sell. You might do a better job of impressing this other agent by turning down the opportunity versus taking the listing. And explain.
She did say she was really impressed on how, because I don't sugarcoat anything. I was explaining exactly what is happening in that market and why, and I showed the data. She's very blown away with like how tech savvy I am, which I'm really not that tech savvy, to be honest. But I think that's going to help me get more business. I'm willing to help these people. I always have that heart.
Well,
I do want to help them, but
you could be willing to help it. And we need to wrap this up, Stephen. You could be willing to help them, but they have to be motivated to sell their house. Right now, you're more motivated to sell their home than they are to sell their home. So it just, for me, I'm going to hold on my price. And if they're not willing to price it where they need to price it in order to sell, I'm going to turn the opportunity down.
I was just a little bit nervous turning it down. That's all.
I would. No, don't be nervous. That's what that's what professionals do. Desperate people take listings when they shouldn't. All right, everybody. Right. That is a wrap. Make it a great day, everybody. See you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Invite your friends.
Thank you.
Great call, John. Good day, everyone.
Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.
Hundreds of agents have leveled up their systems and listings with Coach John's coaching. Your turn starts here. Scan the QR code to schedule your session.
And don't forget to subscribe and share this with someone who's serious about building long-term wealth in real estate.